how can they be their most authentic self and show up on camera that way?
Well, take the best speakers. Your best speaker may not necessarily be mechanically the best speaker as far as emoting or presenting, but what is it that captures an audience? It's a good story. And so a good story is going to win out every time. And the advice I would give to any new speaker is stay true to yourself, tell your story, and tell it in a way that makes you feel good. Whether somebody responds or doesn't respond, if you feel good about that story, there's an authenticity that comes through on camera.
Hi, and welcome to Speaker Life. I'm your host, Leah Woodford. And, I wanted to take you guys behind the scenes because, I have people write in and hit me up on social. And how do you do it? Well, let me tell you how I do it. I have an amazing team. And with me today is Jason Sievert, a big part of my team. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Chief Storyteller.
It's a good title.
So, Jason, let's talk about this a lot because you worked with me on a lot of speaker demo reels. We've done a lot of YouTube shows, quite a few now.
Yeah, that's true.
How do you think AI is going to impact storytelling?
That is a big question. I think at a ground level, everybody realizes AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So we've got to learn it. And most say it's a good tool. It's going to play a part in storytelling. But from my perspective, it won't replace authentic human storytelling. There's still a place for the human brain and the emotion that comes with it that, AI just won't be able to replicate.
I kind of agree with that. And I'm seeing more on social media. I don't know why Keanu Reeves seems to be the subject matter of so much AI, but I can feel there's no soul there.
Yeah, no, very true. AI definitely has its place. And I think the adage is if you don't embrace AI, you'll be replaced by somebody who's using AI. And that's very true in video production. The tools seem to advance at a breakneck pace where it's daunting to keep up with the tools, but it's necessary because you can take on more storytelling and tell more good stories, like for your Speaker Life channel.
Yes. Well, I agree, but I still think it's got to be a tool. I still think there has to be that human element, and especially with storytelling, that's where we connect with our viewing audience. What are your thoughts about some of the new technology that's coming in for editing, for instance?
Yeah, I love technology. I always have. And the newer AIs, replacing some of the mechanical aspects, it's always a good thing. But deep down, I think what scares me most about AI is, at least this generation is asking the question, is that real or is that fabricated by AI? We were talking about that earlier, and you want to know. I think this next generation, they may stop asking that question, and they won't care if something is real or if something is fabricated with AI. And in my mind, as a storyteller, I think that's one step closer to just disconnecting from normal human authentic connection, which is what stories do all along.
So how do we keep the human element? Let's embrace AI as a tool, but what's a way that, let's say, a podcaster or a YouTuber can embrace technology but still stay true to the human form?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think that answer evolves as the tools get more sophisticated. But like many speakers on your show have expressed, a lot of the good stories come from real life experiences. So real life experiences, you can't train an AI or a language model to mimic your experience in life. And right away, when somebody tells it in an authentic way, especially on video camera, there's an emotional side to it. You pick up on the story and you feel influenced or motivated. You had Colin earlier on your show talking about 9/11 and what he was going through at the time. That put you in the story. An AI just can't do that. Even the most sophisticated language model put you in the scene.
Well, my question to you is, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yeah, that's always the dilemma. Should you or shouldn't you? And I think that touches on the ethical side of things, which is in media creation, what many of industries in Los Angeles are dealing with right now. Scarlett Johansson, amongst other actors and actresses, script writers, they're all wondering, am I going to have a job? And so on the other side, while there's a monetary aspect of it, should that actually happen? I don't have the answer for that, but it definitely has to keep its place in order for good storytelling to move on.
So what advice would you give a new speaker or a coach that really wants to create maybe a YouTube channel or a podcast or even telling a speech? How can they be their most authentic self and show up on camera that way?
Good question. Well, take the best speakers. Your best speaker may not necessarily be mechanically the best speaker as far as emoting or presenting, but what is it that captures an audience? It's a good story. And so a good story is going to win out every time. And the advice I would give to any new speaker is stay true to yourself, tell your story, and tell it in a way that makes you feel good. Whether somebody responds or doesn't respond, if you feel good about that story, there's an authenticity that comes through on camera.
Now, how do you know when you're being authentic to yourself?
That's a good question. I think everybody has nervousness. And sometimes when we work with presenters on camera, there's little things you can do to get them out of their head. And sometimes for me, when I work with a presenter, I choose lighthearted moments to get them to think about smiling or just thinking about something happy or put them in a good mood. And for some reason, that changes the brainwaves of let's just do it.
He does that. When we are doing a mic check, he asks what they have for breakfast.
It's an innocuous question, but I think what it does is it can put the mind of the presenter at ease in a way that, oh, let's just have fun and do this. You're not thinking about telling the story or presenting the story. You're just doing your thing and being yourself, whether you're at the kitchen table eating breakfast or you're in front of a, multi-million-dollar studio camera.
So when did you know that you wanted to do storytelling?
Oh, that's a good question. It happened by accident. I worked with a longtime storyteller and editor who I was an assistant to, and he got very sick. And he couldn't finish a documentary, and I was thrown in the hot seat at that moment and felt all the pressure of, I got to make this good. But that experience was a good one because it made me fall in love with telling stories. And it's not just hitting buttons on the editor's keyboard, but really putting thought into what's the message that needs to be conveyed, how do you make this emotional, and how do you make it connect with an audience? And that's something you have to just go through and edit for quite a while before you become good at it.
What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite story that every time you hear it, it gets you every time?
That's a good question. I would not say there's one particular favorite of mine, but I would say the favorite type of story that touches my heart every time is people's human stories. So on your channel, you've told the story of Dave Sanderson multiple times, and it's a survival story. But when he tells it, or you hear his media, you're with him in the plane going down. And so those are the emotions that connect to that authentic story. Or Colin, when he was in 9/11 and he sees people jumping from the building. Having lived in New York, I knew the streets he was talking about. So as he's telling that story, to me, those are the most powerful ones, is you're there with them. And that's really great advice for any new speaker, is if you tell your story in a way that you put people in your world and your story, it's going to resonate.
Well, it was funny when I was watching our second interview with Colin and watching everybody, the crew, you could have dropped a pen because that story was so compelling. Just the looks on their faces, and me, I could barely even interview him because I was taken into the story. How do you draw people into your story?
And that was 24 years ago, that story, which that's very enduring because the emotions behind it are so strong, and that's what is retained. So you spoke about how do you draw someone into your story. focus on those powerful emotions, because that's what people will always remember after a story. They may not even remember the details of a good movie, all, the characters that starred in it, but what they will remember is how they felt about the movie. Oh, that scene was so scary. Do you remember this and that? So with storytelling, you can dive into the emotional aspects of it in a way that will stay with people.
Wow. That was great. Are you going to do another behind the scenes with me, Jason?
Absolutely.
This has been Leah Woodford with Speaker Life. Thanks for watching.